Hi guys, last week we talked about classroom management for elementary music teachers, and we talked in depth and in detail about all of the things, or at least as much as we could talk about in the time allotted, that you need to know in order to make your class run smoothly so that you can teach all those little kiddos how to sing very beautifully. I have a kid, by the way, that calls me the singing teacher. It's adorable. He's in 1st grade, and then every time he leaves, he says, "Hi, singing teacher." He always sings to me. Hilarious. Anyway, today what I wanted to do is talk about my classroom management. So like my specific strategies, because we talked in that one more about like general, like you need to do this and you need to do this, but I wanted to talk about like my rules and my classroom management strategies so that you can see kind of how they all fit together, because we talked about a lot of things. I will link that video down below, by the way, in case you would like to see it, because it is very detailed, very in-depth. Highly recommend. There's also a blog post version if you prefer to read. But in this video, we're going to talk about like my rules and my classroom management strategies and what happens when the kids break the rules and all of those fun things. So let's get started. All right, the first thing you need to know is that I am very big on the first thing being relationships. So I spend a lot of time working on just knowing who the kids are. So I make sure I know all the kids' names. I try to remember things about the kids. I talk to them in the hallways. I talk to them during lunch duty. I talk to them in the morning and in the afternoon, and like really try to build that rapport with them so that the students will, you know, actually want to come to my class and enjoy coming to my class, and I can treat them like humans because I know who they are and they feel seen and heard and excited to come because they know that I care about them. So that's gonna be step number one. Is I spend a lot of time playing games, playing instruments, having fun, working in small groups. That's a huge one with kids so that I can actually learn them. Okay, number two is that I'm very big on making sure my lesson plans are very, very exciting. That's one of your best tools for classroom management, is having a good lesson plan. I really strive to change the activity level. So we'll do something really active and moving, then we'll sit down and do something, and then we'll stand up and do something, then we'll sit down, but we'll like move our hands around, and then we'll do, you know, and we do a lot of different things. And the pace goes very, very quickly on purpose, because if the pace is really, really quick, the kids don't have time to act up, because we don't have time for that. We just go, 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 go. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And they don't have time to be bored. And because they don't have time to be bored, they don't have time to make as much of a fuss. So those are the first couple of quick things for you. Now, that being said, my personal rules in music, we have 4 rules, and they are, we always clap the rhythm to the rules. So even on the board, they have the rhythm along with them. And actually, I think I have them for free, so I will link them down below. They are: follow directions, be respectful, be responsible, be a participant. So those are our 4. We go over them at the beginning of the year and like every day. Every day. This is something I changed a lot from my first year, when I just was like, here are the rules, and then like we never talked about them again, to now we talk about them every single day, and they guide everything we do. When we come in, sometimes I'll say, you know, let's remember how we act in music class. There's only 4 things you got to do, and then I clap them, they clap them, I clap them, we go back and forth. Every time we do an activity, we discuss what responsible people do. How can you be a participant while we're writing notes on the staff? What is responsible? Like, oh, today we were using markers and whiteboards, so it was like, what is the responsible thing to do with your marker when you're not using it? Oh, put the cap on, great. And you know, we just identify everything with those so that the kids see that they encompass everything and why we need them. We also talk at the beginning of the year about why those things are important, but we talk all throughout, you know, if we're moving around the classroom, do respectful people hit other people while they walk around the classroom? No, great. Do responsible people touch things that don't belong to them? No. Oh, great. Do people who follow directions run instead of walk to the study beat? No, great. And so like they understand, you know, these are the things that are expected of me because these are the 4 rules. And we use those 4 rules and adapt them to every different situation so they can see how they relate. Because frankly, be respectful is not a super easy thing to understand if I was just like, be respectful, and then we never talked about it again. But because we talk about, okay, how are we respectful with our instruments? How are we respectful in our small groups? How are we respectful, you know, moving around the room? How are we respectful when we're reading a book? Like we talk about those things, in particular so that they understand this is how I'm respectful in this situation. Now, do I have to do that with every class every single time? No, some classes need a little bit more reinforcement. Some classes need a little bit less. Some classes are kids that I have seen since kindergarten and they're in 4th grade and they know what to do and it's great. Other classes need a little more help, and so it just kind of depends on, you know, how you feel and what's going on, but it is helpful. Anyway, all of that to be said, when the kids are doing those 4 things, they earn class points. So we do teacher versus student points. I've done a couple of different classroom management strategies, but this is the one I've been loving right now. I got it out of the book Whole Brain Teaching, which I will link down below because it is fabulous. Highly recommend. Check out the book. They also have a free course you can take. Highly recommend. Do it. It's great. So helpful. So helpful. And y'all know I'm not a fan of non-helpful, non-specific randomness. So really helpful. But teacher versus student points basically means that when they're working hard, they get a point. So if they're doing their 4 things, following directions, being respectful, being responsible, being a participant, they get points. If I am working harder than they are, then I get a point. So like today, one of my classes, I got a point, and I got a point because I did our callback. So I said macaroni and cheese, and they were supposed to say everybody freeze and check Miss Davis. That means put your eyes on Miss Davis, so that I know that you're listening. And so I did it, and then some of them kept talking, and so we had to do it a second time. And since we had to do it a second time, I got a point because that meant I was working harder than they were because I'm now repeating myself. They're not holding up their end of the bargain, you know, because we said macaroni and cheese, they said everybody freeze, and then they didn't freeze. So that's where we are. By the way, I do the callbacks and I usually change them every month or 2 because I get bored of them. Our favorite one so far was definitely October's, which was Hocus Pocus, Everybody Focus. But the macaroni and cheese one, I think, is probably a close second. I'm really looking forward to, like, closer to summer, I want to break out Shark Bait Hoo-Ha-Ha. But I feel like, you know, that just needs to be a summer thing. Anyway, those are very important also. Just throwing that out there. So that is an example of how I get points. Now, what we do with the points is I see my kiddos for a week at a time. So we collect points all week. And then on Friday, they cash in their points for game time. So however many points they have turn into minutes of game time, except they subtract mine. So if they have 5 points and I have 2 points, we subtract them, we end up with 3, they have 3 minutes of game time. With their game time, with the older kids, I usually let them pick their game. So we'll go through and we'll make a list of, like, here's the games we would like to play that we've played in music class before, and then we vote on which one they want to do. With the younger kids, I either pick a game or we play freeze dance quite a bit because it's always a hit. My 2nd grader's been asking me for freeze dance all week long. I'm like, no, we're not playing freeze dance. Like, what is wrong? But it is really fun and super easy for me, which can make Fridays really, really calm and chill, which I do really enjoy. So sometimes I pick a game that goes along with our lessons. This week it's gonna be Grizzly Bear. Sometimes we just go with freeze dance. Either way, it's fine. And so that happens. If I have more points than they are, then I tell them they owe me time and we sit in silence. Now, I've only had one class that actually didn't beat me all year, and so that class, I think I had 2 points, and so it was supposed to be 2 minutes of silence. It was like 30 seconds, but they have no concept of time, so it wasn't a big deal. And so literally, I just tell them, like, we're having silence, and I just stare them down, and if anybody talks, the timer starts over again. So that's what we do. I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but I was like, we just need something. And it was just the one class that I've never had that happen before. So I was like, I don't even know what to do if I, you know, beat them. So there's that. And yeah, so that's our whole class reward. I like whole class rewards for elementary music because frankly, they're just easier. And I like this one because there's nothing tangible. It's a game and it's a music game. So it's still, you know, like, on purpose. I shoot for the kids to get 2 to 3 points per day. So typically by Friday, I'm shooting for like 10-ish. So that's kind of where we are. And that usually works. They usually end up between 5 and 10. So it just kind of depends on what's going on and how many times I see them and like all that kind of stuff. So all of that to say, If someone does not follow the rules, then they get a card. So we do a card system of classroom management. I got this from another teacher in the district. She had the most amazingly run class. It was magical. I was sitting there and I was just like, how does she do this? It was pure magic. I don't know. But this is the system she did, and so I have been doing this and I actually really like it. So we do a card system. So if a student breaks a rule, so for example, if they are out of their dot, or if they are, you know, talking while Miss Davis is talking, or if, you know, those kind of things, then they get a yellow card. Like literally it's a card and it's yellow. And I call it a yellow card, like soccer. Yes, one of the teachers thought that was hilarious one year. They're literally just construction paper laminated. And so the kid comes, I say, so-and-so get a yellow card, very calmly. Usually I'll relate it back to the rules. So I'll say like, so-and-so, that was not a respectful comment to your classmate. Please go get a yellow card, because we're respectful in music. So they go get a yellow card, they take it back to their seat. And while they have a yellow card, they may not play games, they may not play instruments, they may not do any of our fun stuff, but they're still at their seat. As soon as I see them doing a good job, and we talk about what that is at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, as soon as they're following directions, being respectful, being responsible, all that. So like sitting correctly, tracking Miss Davis. We talk a lot about tracking in my class. That means your eyes are on me, because I cannot stand it when kids are just like, or huge pet peeve. So we track Miss Davis, so eyes are on Miss Davis, and not, you know, 100% of the time, but whenever I need them to be. And so we and so when they're tracking, they're sitting with their hands to themselves, feet to themselves, quietly, all that good stuff. Then they can put their yellow card up. Usually I don't say it, I'll just look at them and I go, because that means they actually do have to be tracking me, which means they have to be paying attention. So, and we also talk about that. I tell them, I'm like, I'm not gonna stop the class for you. You need to look. So there's that. If they have a yellow card and they are still not doing the right thing, so maybe they, you know, say something rude about another kid, or they get out of their seat or whatever, then they get an orange card. An orange card means they move to what I call the audience, which is a timeout away from the class. So in my room, I have, on the back wall, I have like practice rooms, because it used to be middle school. So I have them go sit up against the door. So they're still in the room. They can see us. That's why it's the audience. You can see, you can watch, but you can't participate in the audience. That's how that works. And so and so they get an orange, they exchange their yellow card for an orange card. All the cards are up at the front table, so they're easily accessible. They go sit in the back, and they, same thing, have to sit calmly, quietly, all that stuff. Usually with a yellow card, I shoot for like a minute or two out. With an orange card, I shoot for more like 5 minutes out. And they have to, you know, be sitting correctly and all that good stuff. And it usually gives them enough time to calm down a little bit if they're kind of like way up here. With the older kids, in addition to that, I have a writing activity that they do that's like a think sheet. And so it just talks through like, you know, which of the 4 rules was I not following? Why was I not following them? How could I do better in the future? And I ask those questions, and they're really actually helpful, because sometimes it's miscommunication, or sometimes they're like, oh, I called them that because they called me this, and then I can get on to that person. Or, you know, like they can tell you really important things and helpful things in that. So I do that with the older kids. The younger kids don't have great writing skills, so I just like don't want to deal with it, so they just sit out. So that's our orange card. Again, it's about 5-ish minutes. If they're doing a good job, they get to come back. And same thing, just if they have an orange card and they are still continuing, which doesn't typically happen, but if it does, because it does, then they get a red card. And a red card means that they are in the audience the whole rest of class. And I call whoever they stay with and tell them that, you know, we had XYZ happen in music. And with the older kids, they also have a silent lunch. So this works. I have the most silent lunches in 4th grade, which is helpful because I have 4th grade for lunch duty. So that may sound really severe, and I thought so at first as well when the, you know, teacher was telling me about it. She doesn't even do orange cards. It's just yellow, red. But you know, it worked for her. And the thing is, you don't have to give out very many silent lunches, and you don't have to call that many parents to get the point across. And so I don't have that many red cards. I don't even have that many oranges. Yellows are pretty frequent because I'm real quick with them, but typically like you get a yellow card, you sit out and then you fix it and you come back, and then like the rest of class is fine. So that's what we do if we are not doing the right thing. On an individual level, if students are doing a good job, they get a WISE buck, which is a school-wide incentive that we have that's equal to a dojo point. Some classes have given me their dojo, so in that case, I usually just give them a dojo point, or give them a WISE buck if I don't have a dojo point, the connection to the dojo, and that goes to like our school-wide incentive, and so that is something we do. If we did not have that, then I would do a green card in my class for people working exceptionally hard, and I would have some sort of reward like at the end of class, probably for those kiddos, like maybe they get to play a special instrument, or they get to pick their instrument first, or you know, something like that, where I don't have to like give them something, but there is something. So that is what I'm currently doing. I will mention in the past I've used the envelope system, which I will link down below, where I have an envelope at the front and strips of paper, and when kids are good, I would tell them to go put their name in, and so they would literally write their name, stick it in the envelope, and I would do a drawing at the end of the week and pull out 3 names, and those 3 people got to go to the prize box. I did that in particular with 5th grade, and also a couple of classes that were just a huge struggle, as like an extra incentive, an extra thing for the good people, and you know, for the people working really hard, an extra incentive for the people working really hard, and just another reason to, you know, work hard in music. I have not been doing that this year, partially because COVID, partially because I just haven't needed it yet, and so I kind of save that for if I need it, and it's in my back pocket. I know I can pull it out if we need it in a particularly difficult class, but we haven't had that this year. So far so good. It's January, so there's still time. We shall see how it goes, but that is how we do classroom management in my music room. So I hope that was helpful in seeing like how I actually implement these and how they go into my, you know, actual real life classroom. My school is a rather tough school, so I just want to say that so that you're, you know, don't think I'm like sitting up in an ivory tower somewhere. I'm definitely down in the trenches. I love my kiddos, but they can be a handful. I hope that was helpful. If you have more classroom management questions, you can leave them in the comments down below, or you can send me a message over on Instagram. It's at Becca's Music Room, and ask me over there, and I will, you know, I can't guarantee I can help you, but I will try. And if nothing else, you can vent to me and I can say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and we can commiserate together. And you know, sometimes that's helpful too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time if you hit that subscribe button. So hit the subscribe button down below. Thank you. Bye.